You know, we often approach relationships with this romantic ideal that once love is present, everything should be seamless, like some fairy tale unfolding perfectly. But real life, as we all find out sooner or later, doesn't play along with fantasy. It's more chaotic, more paradoxical, and if you're paying attention, much more profound. When a woman truly loves you, she isn't simply enjoying your presence. She's risking devastation. The deeper she cares, the more exposed she becomes. And exposure is dangerous. Love opens the gates to chaos, and chaos is terrifying. It's not just about affection. It's about placing your soul in the hands of someone who could crush it, sometimes unknowingly. You don't flinch at the surface. You flinch when you see the abyss. She flinches because she sees it. When emotional stakes climb, so does the cost of loss. The closer you are to her heart, the more catastrophic your absence would be. This isn't insecurity, it's primal logic. To love is to hand over power. That's no small thing. It's a gamble, a wager that most aren't even aware they're making until they feel the tremor of fear right behind the warmth. She pulls away not because the connection is weak, but because it's too strong to ignore. People say love is safety, but they forget that love is also danger. Not because love itself is evil, but because real attachment carries real consequences. The more she imagines a future with you, the more haunted she becomes by the thought of losing it. She imagines what would happen if you betrayed her, left her, changed, died, grew cold, or stopped seeing her. These are not dramatic fantasies. They are defense mechanisms built into every nervous system that's ever been wounded. The same nervous system that lights up when you touch her hand is the same one that remembers abandonment. Emotional history doesn't vanish, it adapts. Love does not erase the past, it activates it. The moment she starts feeling safe, old alarms might start ringing. It's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because her body remembers what fear feels like. Love disarms logic. You can't reason with what's happening inside of her. It's not a spreadsheet, it's a battlefield. Vulnerability is the battlefield. Emotional openness means surrendering control, and humans have always been terrified of surrender, especially if they've ever been punished for it, especially if they've had to hold their own heart alone for years, and now you want them to let you hold it? That's not romantic. That's terrifying. Pulling away can be subconscious self-preservation. It can be a reflex built over decades. It can be a voice deep inside whispering, "Don't trust this. It's too good. If you fall, you won't survive it." And maybe she's not even aware of that voice. But it moves her, it directs her, it makes her step back. Not because she doesn't care, but because she cares so deeply that the cost of collapse would be catastrophic. We all crave love, but we are also wired to survive. And sometimes love feels like drowning. It's supposed to feel like home, yes, but only when the walls of home haven't collapsed before. If she's ever lived through emotional devastation, she associates love with pain. So when she starts to love again, guess what else surfaces? The ache, the echoes, the silent screaming from memories that taught her love is dangerous. She doesn't want to leave, she wants to breathe. She wants to feel like she can choose to stay, not because she's trapped by her feelings, but because her heart has room to be both open and safe. If her emotions start suffocating her, she'll need to come up for air. And that might look like silence, distance, withdrawal. That doesn't mean the love is gone. It means the pressure became too much. When the emotional volume gets too high, the system overloads. She needs space, not because you've failed her, but because her nervous system is asking for time to regulate. That's not rejection, that's biology. You're not fighting against her love, you're standing in the shadow of her deepest fears. And that's an arena you don't walk into with demands. You walk in with courage, with patience, with stillness. If she pulls away when she loves you, it means she's reached a threshold. The intimacy has become a mirror, and now she's seeing parts of herself she hasn't dared to face. Love does that. It brings up the unresolved. It exposes the wounds. You didn't cause the wound. You just walked close enough to touch it, and that hurts. And people recoil from pain even when it's necessary to heal. She's not running from you. She's running from the weight of what you now represent. You are not just a person. You are a symbol of the life she wants but is afraid she can't hold on to. of the comfort she believes she'll be punished for, of the love she fears will vanish just when she finally leans in. And so she steps back. She hesitates. She questions everything, not because the love is false, but because the risk is real. We romanticize closeness, but few understand that closeness costs everything. You lose your masks. You lose your defenses. You lose the illusion that you're untouched. She pulls away because closeness exposes the myth of control. She pulls away because staying means giving up every wall she ever built. She pulls away because she knows that once she surrenders fully, there is no going back. Do not confuse retreat with betrayal. Sometimes the battlefield of the heart needs silence, not strategy. Sometimes the best thing you can do is wait, not in bitterness, not in desperation, but in integrity. You prove your love, not by chasing, but by holding steady while she wrestles her ghosts. You become the calm in the storm, not the storm that punishes her calm. Her love for you is not measured by how close she stays when things are easy. It's measured by how much she returns after fear has tried to steal her away. Pulling back is not always the end. Sometimes it's the first step in choosing you all over again, with clear eyes and a fearless heart. But only if you don't collapse in the meantime. It takes a powerful man to hold space for a woman's fear without taking it personally. It takes maturity to realize that her need for distance might be the very proof that you've touched something sacred in her. Her fear is not a weakness, it's evidence of depth. It means you matter. And when something matters, we handle it carefully or we lose it. When a woman pulls away, it's not always the death of the relationship. It might be the rebirth of her identity. To love someone without losing yourself is not only rare, it's necessary. She's not stepping back because she wants less of you, but because she needs more of herself. The space she takes isn't distance from the relationship. It's distance from dependency. She is not leaving you behind. She's returning to a place where she remembers who she is outside of you. That is not abandonment, that is strength. The human soul wasn't designed to dissolve into another. Fusion is a fantasy that turns fire into smoke. She cannot pour into the connection if her own cup is dry. When she steps back, she's not rejecting you, she's recalibrating her center. A woman who forgets her voice to keep a relationship alive will one day go silent forever. You don't want her silence, you want her truth. Her truth requires solitude. Solitude isn't isolation, it's integration. You must understand that intimacy without individuality is suffocation with a smile. When you become her entire world, she starts to disappear, and disappearance breeds resentment, even when the love is real. She pulls away because she's fighting for her wholeness. You might feel confused, but she's doing the only thing she knows to survive emotionally, creating space between who she is and who she's becoming. Love can be the soil for growth or the cage for conformity. She will not allow herself to become domesticated by affection. She's not trying to sabotage the relationship. She's trying to preserve her essence. Her identity is not a threat to you, it's a gift. But if you demand all of her attention, all of her time, all of her energy, she will vanish. Not because she doesn't care, but because she can't breathe. You have to let her go. Not forever, but enough. Enough to hear her own thoughts. Enough to make her own choices. Enough to stand in her own convictions without fearing she's betraying you. Because if she cannot move freely, she's not in a relationship, she's in a prison painted with roses. She will never thrive in captivity, even if the cage was built from love. Freedom is not distance, it's trust. She pulls away when she feels the gravity of your expectations weighing down her independence. She needs to know she is loved for who she is, not just who she becomes in relation to you. She is not an extension of your needs. She is not here to complete your broken story. She has her own story. If she is to share it with you, she must first write it for herself. There is nothing more dangerous than losing your identity in the name of love. It is not noble to vanish into another. She has learned this, perhaps the hard way, perhaps by giving too much too early, perhaps by molding herself to the shape of someone else's comfort. So now she's drawing boundaries, not to shut you out, but to keep herself intact. Love without boundaries becomes dependency dressed as devotion. Dependency drains, it doesn't build. She knows that. She's tasted what it's like to give and give until there's nothing left but echoes. So she steps back before the echo becomes a scream. She knows that true love demands separation before it demands surrender. When she steps away, she's not closing her heart, she's reinforcing her spine. Her backbone matters more than her butterflies. You may feel her absence like a void, but in that void she finds her clarity. She needs to miss herself before she can fully miss you. That absence is not a punishment, it's a pulse, a signal that her emotional system is asking for balance. You must not chase her into herself. You cannot storm the gates of her solitude and expect her to be grateful. She is not pulling away to test you. She's retreating to protect something sacred. That sacred thing is her individuality. She knows that if she sacrifices it for connection, the connection will eventually feel like betrayal. You must become the kind of man who doesn't fear her wholeness. You must be solid enough to let her expand, even when that expansion feels like she's moving away. She is not your mirror. She is not your shadow. She is not your emotional caretaker. She is a sovereign being. You are not being abandoned. You are being asked to honor her independence as much as you desire her intimacy. Her pulling away is a reclamation, not a rebellion. She is not rebelling against love. She is rebelling against erasure. You cannot love her fully if you do not see her fully. And you cannot see her fully if you need her to always be close. Distance reveals dimension. Step back and you'll notice things you missed when she was right beside you. She needs the room to think without being interrupted by your fears. She needs the silence to hear her own intuition. She needs the freedom to remember that she is not defined by how well she fits your mold. And if you truly care, you will give her that freedom without condition, because freedom given is trust proven. You must understand that what she does with that freedom will reveal everything you need to know. If she comes back whole. And that version of her will love more deeply than the one who stayed out of guilt or emotional obligation. She will return with choice, not with chains. Her desire to step away is not a rejection of connection, it's an affirmation of selfhood. She refuses to vanish. She refuses to fade into your world while her own crumbles in the background. She has seen what it costs to betray herself. She will not pay that price again, not for anyone, not even for love. She isn't trying to dominate, she's trying to breathe. She's not acting out, she's acting from wisdom. A woman who chooses herself is not selfish. She's honest. She's dangerous in the best way because she cannot be manipulated by affection, coerced by closeness, or bribed with comfort. You do not lose her by giving her space. You lose her by needing her to shrink so that you can feel big. She is not afraid of love. She's afraid of losing herself in it. You cannot ask her to trade her soul for proximity. That is not a relationship. That is consumption. And when she pulls away, remember this, she's not ending the connection. She's restoring the balance that allows love to breathe. Because any relationship that demands her silence, her absence from herself, or her endless accessibility is not love, it's possession. And she was not born to be possessed. She was born to be witnessed, chosen, and respected as a whole, undivided force of nature. So when she pulls away, don't just ask what's wrong with her. Ask what's rising within her. Ask what sacred part of her identity is surfacing. Ask what ancient fear has been awakened by something as radical and vulnerable as love. Her distance isn't always departure. Sometimes it's the first honest step toward real connection because it's chosen, not coerced. She pulls away not because she doesn't care, but because she cares so much that it shakes the very ground beneath her feet. She pulls away because love, when it's real, exposes the parts of us we've hidden, even from ourselves. She steps back because she refuses to collapse into someone else to feel whole. And if you are wise, if you are strong, you will not punish her for that. You will honor it. Because in the end, the kind of love worth keeping is not the love that clings in fear, but the love that allows space for becoming. If she returns, it's not because she needs you, it's because she chooses you with eyes wide open, with a self intact, and with a heart brave enough to love again. Not from fear, not from need, but from truth,